All right, so everybody bear with me. So we'll start with the approval of the minutes from our meeting on August the 3rd.
I'll
Is
make the
everybody-
motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Yeah, everybody. So
All those in
all
favor?
those in favor? Cody, we'll start down here each time. Aye.
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 Did you get that, Robert?
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
Oh, since we don't have any streamers, you don't have to do a roll call vote. You can all in favor, aye, and if
Okay.
someone says no, then I'll just jot it down.
All right, can we do that with anything we have to do tonight or?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Since there's no one streaming, we don't have to do roll call at all.
Okay. Okay. Okay, everything else I get. All right, so I guess at this time we'll have Tony come up and tell us.
Madam Chair, members of the planning board, this text amendment to 155.6.5.7 in the C5 commercial district, we did discuss this at our last meeting. Again, the authorized agent is Faison Sutton. She's the authorized agent for Kevin Walker, who's the manager of KWRC LLC for this text amendment. This text amendment, if adopted, would amend it to allow for accessory structures, decks, and patios to have a setback 15 feet for the front instead of 30. The rear setback for accessory structures would be amended to allow for a 10-foot setback instead of 20. This still applies to new buildings. It only applies to these decks and things like that. We did discuss this at our August 3rd meeting, and during that discussion, we had a pretty good discussion. And at that time, the board gave direction to the authorized agent there to look at items 4 through 7. The board did not really like to exempt landscaping, parking requirements, or things like that. So she did. The agent did bring us back an amended text amendment here. You see it on page 8 there, the proposed ordinance 2021-1832. And you see the small C5 lot exception that has been expanded a little bit. And I think what it did, it tightened it down a little bit. Instead of 7 properties, it now applies to 4 properties of 21,000 square feet. And I think she heard that, we wanted to amend that somewhat. As you see in number 1, as to the C5 lot, the following requirement shall be modified. Under A there, it talks about shall be 15 feet to accessory structures for the decks and patios. All other structures will have to meet the structure setback. And then the side yard minimum setbacks in 155.657F shall be the lesser of 10 feet. That would be amended. The rear yard would be amended to 10 foot for accessory structures. And then all to other structures, the regular setback would apply. And then on page 9 there, D, this is some new stuff that we added, or she added, for the landscaping. The minimum number of trees and shrubs in a street yard required in section 155.9.17.1 shall be 2 shade trees and 4 intermediate shrubs. The regular ordinance says 3 shade trees, so we're going from 3 to 2.
3 to 2.
And then on the intermediate shrubs, we're going from 6 to 4. So the ordinance says 6, she's proposing 4. And under E, the landscape area required in section 155.9.17.4 may be located on either perimeter or the interior of the parking facility or any combination of the 2. So they didn't strike out that completely, gave us a couple options to look at, leaving that still in there. Under F, the minimum width for type B buffer yard as set out in section 155.9.18.8A shall be 10 feet. So if you look at the regular ordinance, it's 15 feet. So they reduce it down from 15 to 10, 5 feet. And under G, the minimum width for type B2 buffer yards set out in that section shall be 7.5 feet instead of 10. So we still, we have some buffering there. Type B1 and a type B2 is still in there. It's been reduced somewhat. And then the C5 lot shall be exempting. So we got 2 exemptions required for landscaping islands set out in section 155.9.176C. This says wherever there's 15 total in a row, you have to put a landscaping island. So that one's going to be exempt under the small lot. And then the requirement for a type A buffer yard, 155.918 is going to be exempted there. Staff analysis is the same as last time. The proposed text amendment, if adopted, instead of last time it was 7 properties, this time it would apply to 4 properties with no lot size no more than 21,000 square feet. It contains 1 or more existing buildings. The setback reduction again is just for accessory structures and decks and patios. And this is just for the C5 commercial districts. Again, we didn't send this back out to department heads, but there were no comments in the very beginning from police, fire, or public works. The text amendment, we feel like it is consistent with our CAMA land use policies. And we open and continue these from our last meeting, so there was no requirement for notification on advertisement. And staff's recommendation is still the same as last time. We feel like that staff recommends that the planning board report a favorable recommendation for the text amendment to 155.6.5.7, just for this commercial 5 districts. And you have all the attachments. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer.
Could you explain on page 9, the requirement for type A buffer yard screening set out, so that they want to be exempt from that?
Yes, and if you go to, okay, let's see.
It's page 36.
For buffer yards and then.
Yeah, is that on page starting on 37 then?
Yeah.
And then additional.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's section 155.917.6C. And I have to. page
Okay,
out for
I
some
see now,
reason.
yeah.
So that section would be completely taken out there for that.
This is a medium density screen intended to block visual content. That's type A. You're doing away with type A.
Just type A only, still keeping the type of
Okay.
buffer B.
What other 4, well, so now it's down to what 4 properties is this?
I think There's a
Okay, we-
picture on.
They're in there, that
So we
back
got a
page,
picture,
the worst stuff, anyway.
And the original 7 are outlined in yellow, weren't they?
yeah, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on the last page of the packet. isn't it?
Yes.
I'll have it up on the screen as well.
Yeah, they're up there. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Can you remove that middle piece there, Robert? The
Click
meeting,
on, got it.
is meeting,
It says this meeting is being live streamed.
We couldn't remove it last time, could we?
Well, I think I can, I'll have to come in there and move it to the side.
I think, yeah.
We have to do it on the computer.
Yeah.
Well, I can see it's Atlantic Marine. And then
You have it in the last page of
the
your
last
book,
page.
yeah, whatever,
yes, the last.
43.
See, I didn't have this with me last time.
That makes it hard, but-
There we go. There, the properties right there that you see.
Yeah,
This would be the gas station here, the old pole back here, Rice Avenue. This would be the new Will's Pizza place
Yeah,
here.
that's the-
This is going to be the dive shop here. Used to be Martino's.
And then the
Yeah.
ABC.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, ABC store. Yeah, this would be the, I think it's the
Gas station.
The gas station is up marked here.
Okay.
So before it went to these, but now it's just
Now it's
these
just
four.
those four.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's just the C5 district.
Quick question, Tony, you said in G, the minimum width of type B buffer yard, what was it before and now it's 17.5?
So
Okay.
7.5.
It is 7.5. What
It was
before?
10.
It was 10.
Thank you.
It was
10.
10, it went from 10 to 7.5.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
That's what I needed.
So we got those.
Tony,
Yes.
what drove this reducing the number of parcels?
Well, when Faison gets up, she can ask, I think she maybe have heard some things about it applies to 7 properties. And she was trying to trim that down, I think.
And how did that then occur that it winds up just applying to those?
Do I now?
What changed that means it only
Uh,
applies to those?
Let's see, what changed? Let's see.
Well, it's the road, right?
Wrightsville Avenue, so it had to be adjacent to Wrightsville Avenue and a public maintained street. So that would be that's the main thing.
That's the street that runs behind it.
Right, the street runs behind it.
Okay, so in this picture, everything in yellow was potentially in it, and since there's no adjacent.
Yes.
Okay,
Right, yes, sir.
thanks.
That's how to reduce that number down. Okay.
All right.
All right, does anyone have any more questions for Tony?
Thank
Tony,
you.
yes, I do. So
Okay.
relative to parking, is there, or to your knowledge, has there been consideration for footing requirements as far as the entrances and exits?
No, they're already there. DOT's already approved those and it's not gonna be any changes to the exits or entering, as far as I know there.
Very.
Okay, well, in the discussion. I
So
had
we're not
some things
doing
on-
it.
Okay,
We're not doing
Okay.
away with type A1, just type A.
Yeah, that's what he said, right? We're not only doing away with type A. as the only thing we're
yes,
doing.
that's correct.
So does anybody have any more questions that we can bring up, Mrs. Sutton? Did you want to? Okay.
Shall we go last one?
You can
You
take
can
it.
You can take it off.
Yes.
I can't understand
I know.
really with that.
It's not- no.
Hey, everybody, Jason Sutton again. Nice to see everybody. So I think Tony just did a great job of explaining what we did, but basically we heard all of your good feedback last month and first limited the definition of what we're calling the small C5 lots to make it apply to less sites, just so we don't end up having unintended consequences. I think the 4 sites that are left are all, obviously fairly small. They both abut on Wrightsville and another street, which is going to cut back on needs for these buffer yard requirements. So first we limited the definition of the lot, and then we went through where we had initially proposed a complete exemption from some of the requirements. We pulled that back a little bit and instead just reduced the requirements rather than a complete exemption. Again, we're, as a text amendment, we're not looking just at the site that my client owns. We're trying to sort of think broadly for these 4 sites. I can tell you that this will work for the property that I'm looking at. I think it should work for the other ones as well, without adversely affecting the neighboring sites.
I have a quick question. D, it's not up there, but the gas station. What other street does it abut?
The street behind it.
Allen's Lane.
No, it abuts to the
She's talking
building.
about the
Oh,
gas
oh,
station.
the gas station.
Oh, Scotch.
Yeah, it doesn't, there's not a street.
I
that it-
kind of thought the same thing.
There's only 3 that it
Are you
applies
talking
to.
about the old Scott or the new the Scott?
No,
The gas station that's there now.
No, there's
across-
another street there at the Scotchman. It goes to the bank, the PNC Bank.
Yeah.
Is it a state maintained street?
That I don't know.
See, that would,
It
take
may
it
not
out and
be.
it reduce it to 3.
Okay, yeah, that, there is a.
And there isn't like a little
You see the
driveway, but I
road,
think
yeah.
it's a right of way, not a maintained
Okay.
street. But we need to check, but
Yeah.
it probably ain't that. But
Well,
Mhm.
that sort of depends on what our goal is. Do we want it to apply to that site or not? We can change the definition, but yeah, because right, if you look to the.
That would just
the
reduce it,
right,
make it a little easier to fit.
That's a tight site.
Yeah, so
I don't know what that parcel is to the right of it.
I
That's
think that's,
Wilkerson, it's a Wilkerson Law. That's a pond, is what that is.
no,
To
she's
the-
talking about, there's a little strip next to,
Right here.
Which looks like
it's part of the
drive.
Shell Station property, because I looked at that. I think when you zoom in,
Yeah.
it's like part of it, so I think they're 2 combined lots, but do you see a street that adjaces that Scotsman?
Mm-mm.
What Tony's referring to is the little right of way that cuts through and goes
Right
over
here.
to PNC, but I don't think it's a state maintained.
I don't
Yeah,
think
I
it is
think you're
either.
right.
So that reduces us to 3, which is even better than this one less property it
So
applies
we'll
to.
just take that one off and
Okay,
it goes to the bank and I think it actually maybe,
I thought it belonged to them.
yeah,
It's
it may
part of their
belong to the
property.
bank too, so.
And which
Because
one
they
is
got
that?
no parking signs on it. so.
Which one is that?
It's the gas station
Talking about?
You know the Scotch one?
across from
So
Savechi.
here's the Shell station, when you just go to right to that. Those are the
there's a little cut through
There's a
that
little
takes you
cut
to
through,
the
takes you
This
to
is
the
the
bank.
right here.
If you want to go through the drive-through.
PNC Bank. So it looks like it's,
48.
it's not for Cray Ave, right?
It's not listed as anything on Google Maps.
No.
Not that that's
I
the,
think it's a deeded either right of way or easement, not a publicly made, so it reduce, if that is the case, it does, it's good for us that
Yeah.
we can,
That's one less, that's
one
one
less piece of property
Yep.
that applies to.
So I don't think you would need to change what we propose in the text.
No,
And then,
because the
yeah,
publicly,
just Whatever.
It's in there.
falls,
Yeah, perfect.
falls in that definition.
okay, thank you, sorry to interrupt.
No, that's great, that's great.
Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question. I see your areas of landscape and I know on this property, there's a huge oak tree that is absolutely gorgeous that sits somewhere around where your future outdoor deck is. Do you plan on keeping that oak tree?
I don't know, I don't even know if there are ordinances that we would have to get the town to approve cutting down.
Well, we do have an ordinance for the oak trees. I hope it wouldn't be.
I would
My
think we
understanding
would work
is,
around that.
yeah, my understanding was that they wanted that to stay for shade on the deck.
And work the decking around.
That's
it.
what I heard.
I
That's what I was told.
would think so too.
Well,
Again, I mean, they're not ready to submit the actual site. plan,
Yeah,
you know, this is
yeah.
the preliminary.
Well, that can be put in conditions if,
I mean, it's a beautiful
Oh,
oak.
but he did say he
Yeah.
wanted it to be used to shade.
I'm gonna show
Tony,
you.
where would that come up in the
That
process?
would, when this comes back to you again for conditional use
Right.
permit,
You can see how
that's
big
when
it
you
is.
could
Let's
put
show the
conditions
whole
on
side.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's a little unusual that we're even showing a site plan now, because that's not what we're asking approval for. But
Yeah,
We're doing it just.
No, I get what you're
you know,
saying,
you were trying
yeah.
to give an illustration of what the
Mhm.
text amendment will do. And yeah, and then next tab, assuming this moves forward and the Board of Aldermen approves it, they'll be submitting a conditional use permit
okay.
for the specific, you know,
Mhm.
tenant and showing the exact site plan and the landscaping.
Right, does anybody have any more questions?
Which one did we actually take out? A, B, C, D, which one?
D,
D.
D.
Okay,
Well,
Yep,
we didn't take it out, we just flagged that it might be
yeah.
out, right?
Right.
Because if I look at Google Maps, it could be.
because of the
Cray-
road.
We will check that out.
It could
Uh-huh,
be Cray Ave.
okay.
Okay, and now I'm gonna really
I got it.
create a problem here. So then the property where Subway and Brent's is, will that now come back in because it abuts to Stokely?
So is that, I don't think that.
There's- there-
Well,
Well, they don't meet the minimum
Yeah, I'm
footage.
thinking
do they?
that-
okay, that's it. Okay,
Thinking
perfect.
that's
That was
the-
the other
yeah.
option.
Yeah, I
But it
think,
applied to it before. Did we reduce the square footage?
Work on the map, but
Yellow.
yellows, everything in yellow is what is in C5
Yeah.
total.
Perfect,
Right.
okay, that's, okay, good, okay, it's just not small, then
So it's
you're
not,
right,
yeah,
okay, well,
that's-
then we're still good, thank you.
That can't be under 21,000.
Yeah, I thought somebody said the yellows were what it applied to in C5, but it's not. Okay, thank
You're
you.
right, those, I'm sorry, I said that.
Okay.
Those are fine.
Can't confuse me, Tony, I stay confused. Okay, then we're good.
Any more questions?
Yeah, with regard to the landscaping. It doesn't really identify how you plan to use that other than it has some of the landscaping requirement into it.
Mhm.
As I see it, the purpose of the landscaping is to create certainly a look. What kind of what exists to prevent the headlights getting out and into the space, into the street space?
Yeah, again, I mean, unfortunately, the site plan is maybe a little misleading because this is not showing you the landscaping they would be required when we submit the CUP. So the only thing it's showing right now is, do you have the one that's color and you're seeing the green?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, the green area is showing where, on this side, where an interior landscape could be located, that doesn't go into where the parking or the entrances and exits are. Basically, this is it. These are the only spaces on this side where that fits. In addition to what will have to be in the setback area. So we still
Okay.
will have to have some landscaping in these setback areas. We're just not showing that. But yes, I mean, we still have to have the shrub trees and the intermediate shrub trees.
And you said the trees were gonna go from 3 to 2 and 6 to 4 on the shrubs.
That's right, yeah, reduce some, but not exempt, which is what the.
Right,
earlier version
right.
said, yeah.
So it's those plus the other landscaping elements is what you're saying in the setbacks.
Yeah, that would be good, right.
Another, I flagged it earlier about the entrance and exits. So this is a pretty complicated space. If you look just a little bit beyond it, you've got the hardware store and that really funny, crazy left turn thing, which is got Allen's Lane associated with it.
Right.
You've got two forms of entry and exit from the Wrightsville Beach side. You've got an Allen's Lane exit. The purpose, and Tony, you referenced that the DOT approved how it's laid out currently, but it was a different business back then. And so I just wanted to flag that this is a business where you're going to attract more people coming in, staying and moving around than, 2 or 3 cars getting gas and a bottle of soda. So the concern I have is somebody makes a left turn onto Wrightsville Ave and another person making a right turn onto Wrightsville Ave, and the flow here, plus the Allen's Lane craziness, plus the Harris Teeter element of the intersection. And I guess I'm not sure what's directly across from this is, well, it's really the lunar area there. But my point is, I think this could become one of the horrors that was raised during the ABC move as well, when it moved down the corridor to its new location. You've got the hardware store on the other side. You've got the ABC store. You've got people coming. There's 2 other streets there within close proximity. And then whenever that monolithic thing gets built, you've got all that kind of stuff. So I think some consideration should be given to that. And I don't know where in the process we would ever have anything to say about that. Maybe it's not at this point, but it would be at a further point. But I'm flagging it because I think it's going to be an issue the next time it comes around to this point.
I have a question. Is it possible to do one way in and one way out for that or no? Again, I think that we're getting ahead of ourselves, but
Yeah, we're getting,
I
that's,
think so too.
and wouldn't that be a DOT thing?
I just think we can't do that yet.
Yeah, I don't
no,
think so either.
I don't think we can. I was just raising.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely pass all.
That would be a good
Because
suggestion. but
I
maybe-
agree with Neil, that area right there is already a nightmare. I'm surprised there's not more rights, because you have the traffic coming out from the Harris Teeter and,
And I live at the hardware store, and I also do live at the ABC store, and you find yourself.
you live at the ABC store too.
But one of the things that's gonna
But
change.
that's not our
So it's really
responsibility.
not, it's,
That's not why we're here
No.
tonight. Yeah.
No, I know it's not. I just
But the other thing too is gonna change is you're not gonna have people from Allen's Lane cutting across the parking lot now. Cause that's gonna be closed off and blocked. That's gonna be nice. And so you're not gonna have people that used to come out that live over in those neighborhoods. You know how they used to come down Allen's Lane and then they shoot up.
across.
And they've tried to block that off now, and
Yeah.
the residents keep taking the netting down. I see what they're doing. So that one, but I understand, but like Kitty said, this isn't for us to decide tonight, you know, or even,
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, when we submit the CP, I guess you look at it, we will definitely be talking with DOT. When they get to that point. I don't know.
Yeah.
When I think Karen's suggestions, I mean, it's good
Yep.
that they can
Yeah,
give you
absolutely.
stuff to take
Yeah.
back and maybe look at
Yeah.
options,
And
knowing
and
that you're gonna
maybe
deal with that.
you know, to
Yeah.
anticipate and know that it's, let's go ahead and, let's go ahead and talk about that and fix it
Absolutely.
before it even
Yeah.
goes to the, back to us to the CUP.
Definitely.
Because that may come up even at the boards, but it is such a messy spot. Yeah.
All right, any more questions for Mrs. Sutton? No? Good, am I good? All right, does anybody have any questions or any concerns other than what we've already said? Does anybody at this point, I think personally it's time to move this forward and I mean, I think that they've come back and is everybody's concerns from the meeting or not, August the 3rd, have they been addressed?
Yes,
I
but we need
guess
to
it's-
close the open portion.
Right, but before we, are we
Yeah.
done? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So our responsibility tonight is the request.
So
Mhm.
we're gonna, like Cheryl said, we'll close the open portion of the meeting. And then I would like to hear if anybody has any other, I would go back to my original question. Have your
I
concerns?
mean, I think they did a fantastic job at taking our concerns, addressing them. We all had concerns of doing away with all those items. I think
Doing away with it.
she scaled them back,
I
but
agree.
still left them in. And I'm very pleased with what they came back with.
So
I would agree. I would just love to make sure that oak tree gets to stay. I'm becoming Jim, I know, but.
I know, but you're right,
I'm
and I-
channeling my inner
I
Jim.
think that's something, I know that's already come up in a conversation that
Yeah.
I had, so that's something we.
And I know that's not something we're gonna decide tonight, but I
Yeah.
would just like for it to be noted in the minutes.
Because this
that-
will come back to us, right, Tony? for
Yeah.
CUP?
Mhm.
I think if you look at the reduced number of parcels and apply the landscaping requirement that's now being put in place here, it makes good sense for those types of parcels. I think by reducing those parcels to these smaller things, it's doable. There are a couple more oak trees out there on some of those other parcels, so.
Aren't they forbidden from cutting those down
I thought
without the
so.
town approval?
No, they can, there's a process, you have to get a permit, and if it's in the way of a building, an oak tree can be cut down. But they may have to replant 2 or 3 trees to do it, but we encourage them not to, but it can happen.
But they would have to be building a new building
Yes,
to tear that down, and then they wouldn't fall under this.
probably not. No,
Use
you're
permit.
exactly
So it's,
Which doesn't
doesn't make
include,
this not apply.
it does, right, well, it doesn't include outdoor decks, right?
Outdoor decks can be put in the setbacks and things like that. Hopefully they'll build, if the oak tree's there, hopefully they can build it around one,
Mhm.
once we get back to the conditional use permit. Yeah.
You've
Okay.
seen the house on 400 block of North Lumina, how they're building the house around the oak tree.
Yeah.
You need to go that beautiful old
Yeah.
oak tree next to me.
Yeah,
They've
there's
trimmed
Oh,
it.
yeah, yeah,
They've
yeah.
trimmed it and
Yes.
that house is going.
it's going right, it's.
Yeah, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Wow, okay.
All right, so,
Like a glove, yeah.
any other comments or concerns or
I'd like to make a
or
motion.
anybody, I was gonna say, would anybody like to make a motion?
I mean, I make a motion that we approve it as it was written. Make a motion that we approve
Let's get
the
your,
proposed
150.
ordinance number 2021-1832. Is that right?
That's right.
anybody want to
I'll
second?
second it.
Everybody. Let's vote. Ken?
Aye.
Aye. That was unanimous, Robert?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Those of you that don't know, I taught Mason. And she was a
You did a
wonderful
good job.
student.
You did a great job.
She was,
Judy.
she was a wonderful student.
Probably might, well, you might use them in when you do your conditional use.
I'll fix it. Hang on.
None of that.
I didn't hold.
Too bad I couldn't have
I
done it in
didn't say
Spanish.
that. She was a good Spanish student. Hush.
Okay. One second, you guys. Okay, so we're through with all that. When we're not doing parking, talking about parking or any of that tonight or anything, so the only thing left to do is, well, no, we need to talk about new business, because I know there's some concerns there.
Okay.
So anybody, I mean, I had a couple of things I wanted to bring up, new business, Tony, that I maybe heard, and I don't,
I do have
Yeah.
one concern that we had an issue and I don't know if this needs to go before the board alderman, but walking home from a restaurant 9:30 Saturday night, passed a guy between Loggerheads and Neptunes, beaten up, bloody, bleeding from the face, hematoma, whatever, apparently had been beat up in front of Loggerheads and could not find a policeman anywhere. Felt very unsafe, very afraid. Finally called 911 and it took my husband 10 minutes to get the operator at 911 to finally send someone. And I'm just concerned that the police presence not being out there, like, they were out there Friday night, but Saturday night was like a totally different deal, because I just happened to have been taking something to my daughter. There was not a policeman anywhere to be found.
Did
and
you
I-
call the chief?
yes.
Did you
Yeah.
call him?
Yes, I
You
did.
did call,
I did.
and you weren't happy with the conversation?
I
Because
don't
I've
know
got
that
some
I-
numbers.
I'm not unhappy, I'm just not sure that I got answers to the questions as to where they all were. And then all I think about was the ice cream place was packed.
Yeah.
The number of kids that saw this guy, I mean,
That's not
I
all
thought
we've
it was,
seen.
it looked like a bullet wound, it was a hematoma, had, where it had been scraped. He had a slice across the top of his head, bleeding from his nose, he was incoherent, I don't know whether he was inebriated or concussed. But supposedly he got thrown down on the sidewalk and then kicked.
Because I went to the last meet with the chief, and one of the things they said, if you don't call us, we don't.
Well,
know.
I
But
called
you
him and
called
he
that's
said,
a
he said
different
he was
story.
aware of it. They did find the guy. He was all the way around the corner after, by the time they got there, which they responded. It took them a little while, but I know Casey said 3 cars came from that way. And I know the one car came towards us, like from your house.
That's
Neil.
9:30 at night.
We had 7:30 dinner
I
reservations.
tell you that there's not anybody out there at 9:30 at night.
Yeah,
Well, I'd been
About
there at
11
9
o'clock.
on Friday and they were.
Yeah, most of the time they're not out there
Well, they
until about
were, and
11.
I'm gonna tell you, there were people everywhere. Loggerheads was packed. And my concern too was, why did Loggerheads not call the police? And these businesses need to be a little bit more accountable to what's going on in their environment.
They don't want anybody to know that.
I know they don't, but I'm sorry
But did you start by saying that you tried to call 911, but they didn't answer?
no, they did. It took forever for the girl to understand from Pat what needed to
they
happen.
asked you
Okay, now
500
another thing, I know,
questions.
but I want to defend him on that. That night he explained, because I had a situation that I kept thinking, why is she asking me all these questions? They've already sent the car
Dispatched,
to
yeah.
your location.
They have.
She's just trying to give him as many details as you can
Well,
provide.
We called before Loggerheads, but then I saw the blood at Loggerheads and then I heard a girl at the door
But
say.
did you give them a location
He did,
immediately?
he did.
Okay, she
But
had a car.
the police did
sent.
not
Yeah.
come till we were halfway to Johnny Mercer's
Yeah.
Pier.
Well, what they told me was even though she's talking to you,
She's
she has
been-
already
okay.
sent
She's
him.
already
to
sent
the
the
spot.
cards.
And
That
they
I
did
know.
come
Yeah.
fairly,
Yeah.
they did get him. He did get him medical treatment, sent an ambulance.
Because
for him.
that, all those questions just really irritate you when you're in a panic.
And
But they say, don't worry about that,
Right.
he's already on the way.
but I know what Cheryl is saying, and it's the same old
Yes.
thing, and I, you know, I personally been going through this for 100 years now, I feel like, and I'm so annoyed and I'm so over it all, and I said today in a phone conversation I had with somebody, I'm so tired of us not having anybody. Yeah, you know, exactly, and it's just, what is going on with this island? I mean, what is truly?
We should
going on
have a
with this island?
better public police presence at the bar area.
Yeah, well, I feel like it needs to be there, it needs to be Johnny Mercer,
Well,
you gotta have the
it's like,
cars
Oh,
out
yeah,
there
that
anyway.
whole,
They-
yes, I would
Why
agree.
can't they be stationed? I've asked this in the Meet the Chief meetings. Why can't they be stationed right there with the, like, and again, I went back to this blue light that they're doing in Wilmington, in the city of Wilmington. They gotta be out anyway. Why can't they be positioned there and the Johnny Mercer? They'd have been at the Johnny Mercer the night that people had the open flame going in the back of their car, cooking hot dogs and hamburgers and
On an
tamales.
open grill.
What, you know, it went right in front of a apartment or thing. It is a never ending, why is it like this now? And I don't know where the problem is. I do, and I
Do
don't.
we still have a
we
one
gotta
on
do something
bike?
about it.
Policeman on the
I
bike?
haven't seen.
No, they stopped.
That is so
She
dangerous.
gets complained about this for 25 years.
50.
We hear the same thing. She's heard it, and she was part of a committee 20 years ago, and the same thing, the noise from the bars and.
So let's raise the parking rates and pay for more police.
Yes.
We
Thank
can't
you.
do anything about the parking. I think that's gonna be done.
It will
in
be.
here.
We
What's
got
the
the
Yeah,
problem?
we got to-
I
Yeah.
actually, this is the first time I've been to the chief meeting, and
I
I
gotta
was
wait
really
till
glad I
they
went.
do the
Because I've got
analysis.
phone numbers and I've already used them. I was pleased with that meeting, and we really need to start going because there
Yeah.
weren't many of us there.
Yeah.
And this area that we live in is a nightmare, and it's a nightmare every weekend, basically almost every night.
Mhm.
Any night there's kids not in school is a
Mhm.
nightmare. And there's
Yeah.
lots of vandalism and there's lots of
Yeah.
everything else. But the police actually are not on the street at 9:30 PM, I
Mm-mm.
tell you.
Nope.
They
Nope.
don't come out, because the kids don't even leave home till 11.
Well, they were out in full force that night. Jimmy's was so packed you could not, they already had a line at the door going into, the line went all the way back to the ice cream store.
We used to hire deputies on the weekends. I don't know whether we
We
still
used
do
to
that or
have-
not.
County, I'm not
There
sure.
were deputies set Friday night, and
Okay.
Friday night they were out there at 9:15.
And see, what they've
Saturday night,
discovered,
they weren't there.
one thing they've discovered is they all come to the beach on Friday night, and on Saturday night, they go to downtown Wilmington.
No, they didn't
But see,
follow
they
that,
didn't-
they didn't follow that
Not
memo
this
Saturday
weekend.
night.
No.
I just felt bad for the poor parents with the kids at the ice cream parlor seeing, I mean, it looked like nine of the.
Well, it's
living
like that
dead.
on any given night though, because the bars, the people are outside smoking a cigarette or doing whatever. You got the windows open to the bars and the people back, the kids, they're getting ice cream. That's standard for them to see a lot of drunks and, you know,
But
that's,
the bicycles are very dangerous because
Well,
they have
I
on
get
those
that,
dark
yeah.
uniforms,
yep.
and they got hit some, so.
And
Well,
very
that makes
dangerous.
cars coming off the side streets. I mean, I ride my bike every night and it's dangerous.
I just would like to see them out and about, walking.
And I think you have to say that
But
again.
I've
Is
said
it a
this-
staffing thing? Are we low?
I'm sure it's
on-
a combination
We're always low.
of things, but I think you reach out to the mayor, the board members, and the police chief, and you hit them with this. And
I did call
But
them
we
and
have,
had a
Tony, I mean,
conversation.
we have.
Do they get
There's probably
paid?
staffing too.
Do they
and,
get paid more by the county than the town of Wrightsville?
You know, I don't
Beach?
know. I'm not sure what.
Well, the
that would-
county sends deputies to
Yeah,
help, and
Right.
there's a certain amount of money set aside.
There was a contract that they were
Yes,
signing.
and we have,
deputies.
in the budget was a certain amount to spend for deputy
Mm-hmm.
help. I have no idea whether that's still in there or not.
And my
So-
understanding is the ABC, there's a grant that you can get to protect alcohol-related areas that, are we applying for that grant? Are we looking for
So these are
areas to
things you
bring
need to
in?
ask the chief
Yeah.
and have him
Yeah.
answer.
and that, and you know, it helps to go to these meetings. The last one I went to, we had about 60 people there and they were fired up and mad.
Yeah, The one I
And-
went to was maybe 20 at the
That was the
most.
second one.
holding
Yeah.
their feet to the fire and demanding answers. But then again, I
But he
specifically
had given
said,
me these numbers and I desperately needed it the other night. And I thought, let me see if I can, and I found it and I got them.
Pass that down here. I'll
I
write it.
know, I'm gonna
take a
picture.
screenshot.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah,
Is
I've
there-
got the
Yeah,
non-emergency.
you probably got all those.
Yeah, I've got all that.
Okay, so,
So the non-emergency rings to the emergency.
Well,
just comes in and
they
it's
pick up
indicated.
now. I called non-emergency the night before last. And she dispatches just as quickly as the 911.
Yeah, it's the same also.
But they want you for violent things or things that like you're fear of, they want you to dial 911.
Yeah.
They really and truly do.
Mhm.
And they've said that. So yeah, I agree. Y'all got to just go to these meetings, He didn't have one, this last one, they didn't have it for whatever reason.
Well, I
they
did
canceled.
call him and I brought it to his attention. He said he's looking into it and he couldn't tell me about the condition of the guy, and I understand that, but I hope, they did get to him, which was the most important part.
Did they
and
call
I
an
don't-
ambulance for him? Somebody call an ambulance for him? Or they
Okay,
didn't
so
need-
my daughter was staying at a place there, there's duplexes behind Neptune's. So she saw the one police car came this way, the three came over the bridge. And then she said probably within 3 to 5 minutes, an ambulance came, because I got a text by the time we got to Johnny Mercer's. Did you call the police? So, yeah, we did.
Well, we have our own little EMS team that usually comes first lots of
Mm.
times. And then they call,
Well, the
the
police came
ambulance,
first,
yeah.
then the ambulance, yeah, but
probably
they did
maybe
get
didn't
him
have a
help.
team that night, yeah.
So anyway, okay, that was my.
Tony, I have a question. Some of my neighbors got together and they had the DOT come and sit and look at Waynick Boulevard speeding, and they all agreed, the DOT did, that the speeding does need to be reduced and they would support it. And now they've said that the next move would be that the town has to instigate that. Can we get that done
I
or
think-
look into that?
I think I'll reach out to, like you say,
Start
to
with
the
the
mayor
board.
and the board, and
Okay.
that's where it starts
All right.
at. That-
Right.
That could be
decision.
at the beginning of the meeting speech. then,
Right.
didn't it?
Yeah, okay. I'll let them know. The other thing, do you want to say something, Karen?
no, I just wanted to request that, or talk about maybe having some larger signs, no mooring signs between the pier headlines at the street ends on the sound side. As I mentioned earlier, there's, this weekend they were tied off to our tiebacks and our bulkhead, which we just had replaced, and that is not cheap. So when I see their boat floating up and down, pulling on my bulkhead,
Bulkhead.
it's infuriating.
Okay, I'm sure.
Untied?
I mean, I've thought about it, trust me.
Aren't
but-
they're supposed to be beneath the high
They're
side?
They're not supposed to be, they can more outside the pier headlines.
Yes.
Right, they're not allowed to be more in that pier.
Exactly.
So we were out on our dock yesterday and some kids came up and they were getting their anchor out, getting ready to throw it out. And my husband went and said, hey, you can't moor between the pier headlines. So they tried to moor out in the channel beyond the pier headlines.
Right.
And of course, that didn't work out so
I'm
well. So
sure.
then they just took off and left,
Yeah.
which, if there were a bigger sign, I mean, literally the sign, I can't even read the sign. It's like
It's
this.
the same as the bicycles on the sidewalk sign. It's that big and nobody reads it.
What department would do that? Any of us?
Well,
Any of the beach departments
for a sign,
for a sign?
I'll email the town manager tomorrow and he's the one that would forward it to. Get the
Wherever
sign
it's supposed to go.
made.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I can't speak for all the street ends, but clearly Greensboro, Henderson,
Yeah.
and Oxford have a pretty decent beach board.
Do I need to
Yeah.
make it on record about the stoplight signs and then the no fishing on the bridge?
No, I've got
You've
that
got
on my
that,
list.
okay.
I will check that out tomorrow.
Thank you,
too.
okay. I just didn't know if you needed me to repeat it,
No,
whatever, you know what I'm saying?
On the
Tony,
record.
Yes,
we're on the record anyway, right?
yes, I just didn't know if he needed me to do it for the record.
Tony, one of the other questions I wanted to ask you is, we have very straightforward laws about underage kids driving golf carts on the beach, right?
I'm not sure about that.
All right, do we need to have somebody look in there? Because we've got too many 12-year-olds running up and down the street in golf carts with license plates.
Again, I think that's for the police chief, I think.
Is that a
anything
police
like that
chief
would be
question?
police chief.
I mean, you have to be 16 to drive a golf
That's what I
cart.
thought.
Yes,
That's, yeah.
that is the law. It is a motorized vehicle with a
Yeah.
license.
Yeah.
And
so
if it's street legal, they have to have seatbelts.
Well, it has to be street legal, I thought, to be on the beach.
Yes, to be on public.
So if
street.
it's street legal, they have to be 16 and we got kids,
Well, do they
no
have to have a
seatbelts.
license?
no seatbelts, kids, somebody's gonna fall off when you hit by a car. and that's-
But do they have to have a driver's license?
Yes,
That's what
yes.
they're saying. I
That's
think
what I'm
they
asking
do.
Tony. I thought so. So
Mhm.
I'm just gonna, because I'm gonna put all this together and
It's-
just.
You can get a
who do
DUI
I
on
go
a
to
golf
for
cart.
what? Yeah.
If they're on private property, it's a different story.
And the other thing I had was electric bikes.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
isn't there a state thing getting ready to happen about electric bikes and helmets and stuff like
There
that?
should be. Those things.
There should be
Fly.
fast, I can't pass them sometimes, so.
But we need to get them off the sidewalks, more importantly, along with other bicycles. Again, that comes to the signs not being big enough and enforcement. Now, would that be something I discussed with the Board of
Police.
Aldermen or
Yeah,
the
that's
police?
definite.
All right, that's
I'll
the
send it to
police.
chief, or send it to the board of
All right.
aldermen, and copy the police chief on the town
Bikes on
manager.
the sidewalk would be the police as well. And this is my big one for tonight. Then I'm done, but it's all my new business that I had, but downtown is turned into a cesspool. And and I'm not telling anybody saying it smells like urine. We have, well, who do we have to talk to get the business owners? And I'll give an example, between Tower 7 and Vito's where those picnic tables are. Just today, this morning, trash everywhere.
It smells. so
It
bad.
smells so bad. Neptune's in front of Neptune's, and they're not even a bar anymore. Trash everywhere. The sidewalks stink, the trash cans stink. The trash cans are sitting out, they're not even tucked away anymore. It's just like somebody got sick of them. Who handles
Should be
this?
Vito that cleans that up.
Well, I think
Do I do that to the Board of Aldermen in my 5
I would reach
minutes?
out to the board of aldermen, let
Yes.
it trickle down,
Get down
and,
to them.
Okay,
And I would tell you,
but we hear, we've seen emails about the smell from past board members, sending them to the town.
but I thought there used to be something where each bar and each business owner, be a bar or a surf shop or whatever, was responsible for cleaning and keeping their sidewalks in front of their business clean.
I don't know if there's anything that says that, they
I
could
thought
be in
there
their
was.
conditional
Okay.
use, but we'll, it's something that definitely needs to be
Okay.
done, it's just the enforcement of it and things like that.
Okay,
The problem I see with that, and I agree with you 100%, is that by the time the bars close, it's 2 AM. So they're not gonna clean up at 2:30 in the morning, and they're not gonna certainly be up early in
That's
the
the
morning.
issue, they're not gonna be there at 8
Right.
but
o'clock.
that's why I
Typical.
think there's
Yeah.
a.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
That's why I think, because I know that, Jimmy has said to me in the past that his staff has to stay there until everything's clean, and they don't get out of there till 4 AM. Because they gotta clean up the bar, they do the floors and all that, and they have to clean up in
They
front of.
can't dump trash,
They can't dump trash after, I knew that, but I'm thinking more about cigarette butts and the stench of those trash cans where they're being thrown
or
out
the
there.
vomit on the sidewalk,
Mhm.
I saw it Sunday morning.
Yeah. That's just, I mean,
I hate our downtown looks like
I
that.
know, it's a shame, isn't it?
It's your
Has any-
your first impression when you ride on Wrightsville beaches.
Has anybody seen the big hole up above, Red Dogs? With the wires coming out of it? What's that about?
Aren't they redoing some of Red Dog?
Not that I'm aware of, I'll look at it, I haven't heard anything about that.
But it's like the eaves or whatever, like the slats are broken and there's wires, like, looks like big cables coming out of the top of it. You have to come at a certain angle. When I'm getting on the loop, you can see them. I'm just kind of wondering if that's a fire hazard.
Or a looks hazard.
It looks, well, everything's a look hazard. So that was it for my complaint list. Does anybody else have any old business, new business? No one? So would anybody like to?
I'll make a motion.
I have a comment before we close.
Okay,
We have
you better jump in, Tony.
two new text amendments
Okay,
and that have come in on time for our October meeting. Now, I've told you this before, you said you like them early. I can send them to you early. The problem with that is 2 weeks now, it could change. So I may send them out this week to let you be looking at them.
I would like that.
Okay.
Personally, would y'all?
But sometimes at the last minute, things gets changed. The town manager hasn't looked at it or something like that. But so I'm gonna send them out. One is,
Just say pending.
yeah, pending.
Yeah.
So one's a
Subject to
driveway tax
change.
amendment on Columbia Street, where an individual has bought that one old house, and there's 2 lots, they're gonna tear it down. They want a shared driveway, so that's a driveway tax amendment. The other one is a tax amendment for the Wrightsville Yacht Club. They want to do some things different there. So I have them, so I'll send it out, and you'll have plenty of time to start looking at it. But things may change in 2 or 3 weeks.
All right,
If
so
you
that-
could just note if it does get changed, like
Yeah.
somehow indicate
Yes.
what's not happening.
Okay.
Well, right, you said Wrightsville Yacht Club's that for the Marina Restaurant?
Yes.
They want to make some changes?
They want, not on that project, on their pool house deck, the existing pool
Okay.
house. I guess different.
Would anybody like to make the motion?
I will make the motion, we adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Thank you, Lynn.
Sorry.
Short, so we have a little while. And we still covered a lot of territory.